a young age, taking my soul into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took at me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the... You make me a believer, believer. You make me a believer, believer. Let the bullets fly, let them rain. My love, it came from... You make me a believer, believer. Turn these turns and a prayer to the ones up above. All the hate that you've heard has turned your spirit to a dove. Oh, your spirit up above. Oh, I was choking in the ground, building my rain up in the cloud, falling like ashes to the ground, hoping my feelings they would drown, but they never did, ebbing and flowing and limited, till it broke up when it rained down. It rained down like... You make me a believer, believer. You make me a believer, believer. Let the bullets fly, let them rain. My love, it came from... You make me a believer, believer. Last things last by the grace of the fire and the flames. You're the face of the future, the blood in my veins. Oh, ooh, the blood in my veins. Oh, ooh. But they never did, ebbing and flowing and limited, till it broke up when it rained down. It rained down like... Take you there, whispering in your ear. What do you wanna feel? Let's just enjoy the thrill. I'll take off like a wheel and give you the touch and listen. Get up, hands on your waist, let's go. Get up, girl, you got the vibe, I'm up for the crowd. Get up, hands on your waist, let's go. Get up, girl, you got the vibe, I'm up for the crowd. Beautiful as you are, I wanna light up your dark. Baby, you don't believe in me. It's hard to know once you see me. Don't be quick to say no. I just is your pillow. Come out of the shadows. I know that you're fragile, yeah. Don't care if it's too loud. Sexy, I want you now. Bet I can take you there. Whispering in your ear. What do you wanna feel? Let's just try the thrill. I'll take off like a wheel and give you the touch and listen. Get up, hands on your waist, let's go. Get up, girl, you got the vibe, I'm up for the crowd. Get up, hands on your waist, let's go. Get up, girl, you got the vibe, I'm up for the crowd. I like going when you take it there. I like going when you touch yourself. Don't hold back, I'll hold back when I wanna come.
On this Veterans Day weekend, as we remember and thank those who have served our country, we ask that you please rise, if you're able, and remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem. Today's first semifinal game features the number 3 seed with an overall record of 8-7-2, 4-3 in league play, the Huskies from the University of Connecticut, versus the number 2 seed with an overall record of 7-5-2, 4-2-1 in league play, the Knights from the University of Central Florida. And now for the introduction of today's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Huskies from UConn. In goal, a senior from Stamford, Connecticut, number 24, Scott Levine. A junior defender from Seattle, Washington, number 3, Jacob Hauser Ramsey. A freshman midfielder from Lyon, France, number 4, Blaise Tuhu Ngad. A freshman defender from Coquitlam, British Columbia, number 7, Nicholas.
Welcome you to Dallas, Texas on this semifinal Friday in the American on the campus of SMU. The Mustangs are your number 1 seed this week in the American Athletic Conference for men's soccer. Our opening semifinal clash features the 2 seed UCF Knights against the 3rd seed UConn Huskies as we welcome you to Westcott Field. Again, Lincoln Rose along with Roland Garensway with you here on the American Digital Network. And Roland, what a season it has been for both programs. Huskies were here just on Saturday looking to play for that regular season crown with the right to host in Storrs, Connecticut. They come up short to SMU, a 1-0 classic, and as a result, here they are matched up with the Knights.
Well, it's been close to the top of the table this entire season, and today's not going to be any different. It's going to be an exciting one today.
Let's take a look at your keys to the matchup for the men out of Storrs, Connecticut.
Well, for UConn, I think they really just need to stay mentally focused for 90 minutes. 12 of their 17 goals conceded this season have been in the second half. They'll need to stay switched on because UCF can and will make you pay for even the smallest mistakes. And secondly, the Huskies tend to resort to the long ball when they're offensively frustrated, but they're at their best when they're playing the ball to feet and through their midfield. I want to see them let the ball do the work tonight. That's where I think they'll have the most success.
How about across the way, the number 2 seed Knights under first-year head coach Scott Calabrese?
Well, after a slow start, the Knights have had an incredible second half of the season. I want to see them pressure UConn up the field early and often and can really just continue that offensive tenacity that's seen them win 6 of the last 7 matches.
They will have their hands full against one of the best in the league over there for UConn, and Abdubaki Jam just continues to find ways to get to the back of the net.
Well, this kid is a natural finisher and incredibly clever with his movement off the ball. He leads the team in both goals and assists this season and has been an all-conference team selection in his last 2 seasons. He's going to be a handful for this UCF defense.
Of course, when you talk about goal scorers, the class in this league over the past 2 years, once again, your Offensive Player of the Year, Matthias Puzla for the Knights.
Well, he's been described as the undisputed leader of this team. He leads the American with 8 conference goals and has 12 overall. He's had an extraordinary influence on this Knights' success, having either scored or recorded an assist in all but 4 matches this season. There's no doubt he'll make his mark in this semifinal matchup tonight.
It's our first of 2 men's semifinals coming up here on the American Digital Network. UConn and UCF collide here in Dallas on the ADN.
This is a classroom.
This is a lab.
This is a study break.
This is family.
This is home.
This is UConn.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
Moments away from opening kick here at Westcott Field for our first semifinal between the 2-seed UCF Knights, 3-seed UConn Huskies. Let's check in with the third member of our broadcast team this weekend. Down on the pitch, it's Haley Outen.
Well, Lincoln, I had a chance to catch up with both head coaches here during the warm-up before today's semifinal game. First, on the UConn side of things, I asked Coach Reed about the last time they faced UCF, a 3-2 loss in front of a huge crowd on their home field in Stores. And he said, you know what, his defense didn't give up a lot of close chances to UCF, but on the finishes that the Knights did have, they were absolutely clinical. And on the other side for UCF, I asked about how to approach this game against a really difficult UConn team today, and Coach Calabrese said that they're going to really focus on the counterattack today. If they give up the ball, be prepared to get back into position defensively, but overall, keeping the ball today is the best defense the Knights can play.
Haley, thank you very much. We'll check in with the former ECU Pirate throughout the broadcast. As, again, the Knights on your left, UConn on your right. Again, this is a Husky squad rolling that a little bit of a yo-yo. They were here back on Saturday, quickly back home, now back here, and they go from potentially hosting as the #1 seed, now here as the #3 seed. Not much difference between 2 and 3. You see Abdu Baki John with that captain's armband. But UCF, conversely, what a run it has been. 7 unbeaten, 5 straight wins. Things are starting to click under the new regime of Scott Calabrese.
Well, it takes some time, you know, when you have a new coach coming in to sort of buy into the philosophy that the coach brings in and the style of play. And it looks like towards the end of this season, the Knights have really caught on. They've really bought into the system, and they're reaping the rewards of that.
If you have followed UConn soccer this year, that 0 next to UCF needs to remain a 0 through 90 minutes. UConn has 8 victories on the season, all 8 wins via the shutout.
Absolutely, you know, and whenever they have lost this season, they've been giving up goals in the second half. So part of our keys were to stay mentally focused for the entire match. And, you know, if this goes into overtime, they need to, you know, really stay switched on, because UCF is just so talented. And you see the tactics that the Knights are going to employ today, pressuring the UConn Huskies up high early on here.
Huskies have only allowed 3 first-half goals this year, outscoring their opponents before halftime 11-3. The second half, a different story, being outscored 14-10 after the half. That includes overtime goals, including giving up a couple of golden goals to the opposition this year. So Huskies in white, Knights in black. Glad to have you with us here on the American Digital Network. UConn looking for the early strike. Out for a stroll is Blaze Ingog, member of the all-rookie team here in the American. As you get an over-the-shoulder look of head coach Ray Reed in his 21st year at the helm of the Huskies. He's the NCAA's second winningest active head coach.
Well, he's done a great job with these guys here, again, just coming into the conference tournament, again, as a #3 seed. But, you know, you see early on right now with UConn, they're looking to connect with Abdi John immediately through the midfield, as we said they needed to do in the pregame. So good sign so far from UConn.
Talk about UConn, and to have a championship run, oftentimes you need to stay healthy. Both these teams have been bit by the injury bug. UCF certainly the case. UConn minor injuries. You
Foul,
see Munir
UCF.
Saleh has been healthy throughout this year. The sophomore midfielder out of Ontario, and of course across the way for UCF. This is your first-year head coach, Scott Calabrese. He is a program builder. Did so with both East Tennessee State as well as FIU. Of course, the program he started at FIU this year is ranked number 8 in the country, unbeaten as we speak over there in Conference USA. Calabrese thinks this group, this defense is going to be possession-oriented attack for the Knights. Right now, the possession belongs to UConn.
And you're seeing the Knights really try to pressure up high and try to win back that possession. But again, UConn doing a really good job of just keeping the ball and staying composed.
Trying to slip one through that back line. Jack McCloskey, one of your center backs, a true freshman. There is some youth in the middle of that back line for the Knights, but they have started to gel as of late. It's tough to refer to people as freshmen here in the month of November, with almost a full season under their belt.
Leader back there, Andreas Steiniger, organizing his back line, really being vocal early on.
Saleh will toss it back in right now on the boot of Jack Stefan Colley. They'll swing it around the back. Hauser Ramsey back to his keeper Levine, who makes his 74th straight start. As Levine this year's second-team All-Conference as the goalkeeper for UConn.
He's a great shot stopper and gives a lot of confidence to his back line. They know that, one mistake, and Levine can probably bail them out. As you see a nice flick on here.
Baki Jom, so creative with that back heel that time. The instep, able to pass it inside, but ultimately for the Knights, the last line of defense, Matthew Rosenberg, able to come up with the ball under his own terms.
We're going to see it here. Baki Jom just flicks it on to Josh Barnett. Unfortunately, just a little too strong there.
Another friendly tap back to Rosenberg. We will note Rosenberg, of course, stepped in mid-season for Yannick Erdl. Erdl could be available this week, the freshman out of Munich, Germany. But they are going to go with Rosenberg for consistency now from the past couple of months.
As I said, they had a great second half of the season. Don't want to break up that little bit of momentum that Rosenberg might be riding right now.
Rosenberg, just a sophomore out of New Jersey. Came in midway through the 7th match of the season, has now made 8 of the last 9 starts. Five goals between these two programs the last time they met. Potential for fireworks here in our first semifinal of the day in Dallas. On the boot with McCloskey, the freshman out of Winter Springs, Florida. Big body on that back line, helps keep them calm. For UConn, Nicholas Apostle sends it up through the center circle, a foot race. Out on the wing with Baki Jom. 1v1 marked by McCloskey. Again, that's a freshman who is able to keep him quiet on the wing.
That's good defending from McCloskey. Didn't go into a super hard challenge, just stood him up, made him lose possession.
This ball will simply be a toss for UCF.
It's good physical play down that side from Cal Jennings, winning possession back for the Knights.
Look at Nicholas Apostle, his head coach Ray Reed. UConn with 7 of their goals from freshmen this year, certainly have a youth movement in their own right. It's going to be a good league here in the American for years to come. A lot of promising young players. Even as we say farewell to some veterans at the end of this season. And this will continue with the Knights. Look at Sheikh Stefan Colley out of Senegal, the senior. In his 12th start of the year, 18th appearance overall in that midfield.
He's a physical player. You saw it there, just a nice slide tackle.
There's 2 programs likely needing that automatic bid that would come with a championship on Sunday. UCF an RPI of 61 coming into this week. UConn at 76. Your second best RPI in the league. How good was this league? UCF, they were right there on the bubble and they don't qualify as one of the top 4 teams. They find that out on the final day. A final day in which they could have been possibly clinching a share of the title.
It just speaks to just how close it was during the season for those top 4 slots. incredibly competitive in this conference.
Oh, Knights were looking for perhaps their best chance so far. Instead, collecting it at his feet, Levine. Levine, all 18 starts this year. Mentioned his consecutive start streak, second only to Josh Ford, former Husky standout, and of course Major League Soccer on the resume as well. Ford started 85 straight matches between the pipes. And Levine just out for a nice leisurely stroll. Why not? 64 degrees here this evening in Dallas. It'll cool down to the mid-50s for the start of our second semifinal between SMU and Temple. And again, neither keeper under much of an attack early on. And sophomore Rosenberg at 6'1". Stepped in for Ertl. Probably the better mover of the ball between the two and playing right into their possession game when the defenders pass back. Opportunistic Knights. Offside flag is up.
Well, that was good pressure there from the Knights.
Al Jennings tapped it back. A little give and go, and Jennings was offside, the sophomore out of Roswell, Georgia.
He's got to be a little bit more aware of where he is on the field. That could have been a good opportunity for the Knights, and they squandered it.
4 of Jennings' 7 goals this year. Game winners. Won't have a chance to take a shot on frame here.
That's Pusula trying to put him in. They have good chemistry up top. They're going to be dangerous for UConn. They've been quiet so far inside the first 10 minutes.
Jennings had that game-winning goal against these Huskies earlier this year. Josh Burnett, all-rookie team.
And he's been a fun player to watch so far this season. He's incredibly creative. He's got, again, just great chemistry up there with Abdou Bakejam.
Hauser Ramsey, the center back, was able to strip it away. They'll tap it back to Levine. Levine out of Stamford, Connecticut. Multiple-time recipient of Goalkeeper of the Week here in the American this year. In his 5th and final campaign. Back up to Jacob Hauser Ramsey out of Seattle, the junior captain. One of 2 captains on this squad, has helped anchor this defense from the center back position.
Pusula again working hard, winning back possession straight to Cal Jennings.
Jennings on the wing, inside the area. Jennings will never get that shot on frame. Intervening in time was Ngog. And Ngog slow to get up on the edge of the 6. Be a corner kick coming up for the Knights.
It was a dangerous opportunity here for Cal Jennings. You see just how incredibly attacking his mentality is going forward. It was a good defensive play at the end of the day, but Cal Jennings is going to be extremely dangerous on that right-hand side.
Jennings, with 4 assists this year, will handle the corner opportunity with his left boot. Or pardon me, no, this is going to be Louis Perez, the freshman out of France. Top of the 6. Carries over wide to that far post, and the Huskies survive the big set piece early on.
And just barely. It was a great header out with Cal Jennings waiting to head the ball in. He was right on the doorstep.
And this is a Knights program that welcomed in a new head coach this year in Scott Calabrese. But they were slow to gel. You know, when those results don't come early and you're being asked to subscribe to a new system in a new way with 2/3 of the staff, at least, new faces, it takes a while to earn that trust. But when the results started to come, including a gutty draw with Memphis, and now all of a sudden 6 straight wins, including a road trip up to Storrs, Connecticut, pulling out the victory. UConn coming in, UCF coming in here with a lot of confidence.
Absolutely. And, you know, when you get introduced to a brand new system, sometimes, like we said, you can get off to a slow start. You kind of don't always know what your responsibilities are in certain situations. It does take time, and you know, the Knights have really clicked towards the end of the season, and you're seeing them here. They're really trying to get forward and be dangerous here today.
Austin De Silva, yet another freshman in the starting lineup for these two, will have the throw out of Brookfield, Connecticut. Replaced Dayon Harris, a big loss early this year, went down in the 2nd game of the season. And you see that deep throw towards the top of the 6. Basically as valuable as a set piece there from the from the far touch line. Burnett. Quick tap to Apostle. Flag will stay down. And the Knights with enough bodies in the area. Apostle. And back on his goal line for UCF is Rosenberg. Shot will never come from the Huskies this time.
That's okay. That's good patience to keep possession and play that ball back.
It restarts with Burgess. From 25, over the crossbar, off the left boot of Abdu Baki-Jam, looking for his 11th goal of the year.
That was a great bit of play from UConn, keeping possession, showing patience. It was a good penetrating ball to Jam. We're going to see him here. He takes one touch on the turn, takes a second touch, just gets under it, and it goes over the bar. But you see what kind of skill he has on the turn.
Always so dangerous, whether it be finishing on his own behalf or getting a teammate involved. Just like that, UCF back on offense. Perez, again, one of the two freshmen from France who played their youth ball together and now united over in Orlando with the Knights. UConn has its numbers back. And ball will remain playable on that far touchline. Finally in touch. And this is back over to UConn.
This has been a fun matchup to watch so far. Both teams evenly matched. Getting forward quickly. No one really parking the bus. Both teams with a very good attacking mentality.
UCF looking to strike first. They are your number 2 seed this weekend here in Dallas. There'll be another corner, second of the half for your number 2 seed. Going out to handle the duties will be, again, one of the best in this conference. 5 assists this year for your offensive player of the year. The senior out of Finland. Call him the Finnish finisher. Uzala looking to create here. Aggressive shot into the edge of the 6, but UConn with the response sends it right back out.
Looking for the near post there, and UConn deal with it really well.
Uzala back on it. Right down the middle. On with the quick touch.
Very nice.
Now a ball to run out on the wing. De Silva leads one in. Jam! And just couldn't get enough behind it. Was well marked. And as a result, Rosenberg, no problem.
Well, that was an incredible counterattack there from the Huskies. They're dangerous in possession and, as we said, on the counter. Abdu Jam took the shot on goal. First touch, didn't quite get enough of it.
We remain scoreless. Wrapping up with the 15th minute here in Dallas on the campus of SMU. It'll be Mustangs and Owls, SMU and Temple later on tonight. A lot going on here on campus. SMU women's basketball team just wrapped up. Their men's team will be playing over at Moody soon enough. And of course, hosting the American Soccer Championship this weekend for the men. After the women's match took place over in Florida last weekend. A national seed for the women of UCF, but it was USF that won in the shootout after a draw this past Sunday. They'll play on. All the way back to Levine. He'll get things started again from the top of his 18. Well, of course, we talk about UCF and a new program. Well, the coach comes in and he's immediately greeted by Hurricane Irma. And the silver lining for the program out of Orlando was the amount of time they had to bond. This was a group that usually travels 18 to 19 players. The entire team went on the road to West Virginia that week under the threat of the hurricane. Of course, the football game that week against Georgia Tech was canceled because the National Guard was using Spectrum Stadium as a staging area. The team was stuck in Pittsburgh for a couple of days. trying to get back to Orlando. All flights canceled. Eventually had to bus back over 22 hours. Bumper to bumper traffic the final 300 miles. And that meant a lot of time for this night squad to spend getting to know one another. It would be the second to last out of 205 Division I men's programs, the second to last actually to get to host a home match this year. They were road warriors early on.
Well, that'll really bring a team together, especially something as dramatic as a hurricane. It was devastating down there, but those kind of things, you know, in stressful situations can really, as I said, bring a team together, build some chemistry among them.
Knights have had a couple more opportunities here in this opening half, including a couple of corner kicks. Anytime that ball's been around Abdu Baki Jam, though, for UConn, you know they have a chance to strike first here in Dallas.
And you've already seen how dangerous he can be in front of goal. Doesn't hesitate at all.
Lang stays down. Ball for Jennings. 1v1 on the wing. Jennings has space and just gets too much behind it. As, again, Jennings looking for someone to play with on the back post. Can't connect. Let's check back in down on the pitch with Haley.
Well, for UCF, Matthias Puzla and Cal.
Camera you on now?
For Cal, 7 goals this year. And I asked Coach Calabrese, what's the difference between these two players? How do they sort of balance each other out? And for Cal, he's more of a winger, great dribbler, can beat someone with his pace, and is very deceptive. But possibly the most impressive thing is his ability to get into the box. Great timing and nose for the ball. Finishes those crosses that are sent in.
About great timing. Jennings will fire that one. It's deflected wide. Corner kick coming up. Thank you, Haley. Yeah, Cal really emerged as that second scorer they needed up front for the Knights by the end of the year. A lot of other guys auditioned in that role, and just none of them could finish with their opportunities. Not the case for Jennings. 7 goals, 4 game winners this year. We noted one of those against UConn.
Well, we've seen him so far. He's fearless in attack. He's not afraid to run at his defenders. He's really trying to get a goal for his teammates to really get him to the next round in the final in this conference tournament.
Louis Perez, again, the freshman from France, will handle another corner.
It's a great delivery.
UConn with the first contact. As Ngog will help send it back up. In Lincoln Rose, Roland Guerin's way. Haley Outen with you here on the American Digital Network. Glad to have you with us. First of our 2 matchups here in the semifinal round in Dallas. As the throw coming up for Munir Saleh, his head coach looking on. Ray Reed kicking off his 3rd decade at the helm of the Huskies this year. Of course, Westcott Field 3 years ago, the site of the women's championship. Back when 8 teams would qualify. You had 4 quarterfinals on the opening round, a Tuesday that year. That was another busy weekend. Tuesday, Thursday, quarters and semis. Friday, a college football game. Of course, Sunday, the championship.
Been really impressed so far with UConn's movement off the ball. They're really moving for each other, trying to make themselves available, especially in the midfield. We see Chick Coley on the ball right now. Look at this patience, especially from the center backs. Very good on the ball. They've been impressive so far.
For UCF, a hungry Ricardo Oliveros trying to get on a loose ball. As for the Knights, there you see Louis Perez. Perez and Barry, both second team all conference. They're from France. You just saw another young man from Finland, and Wartianen. A lot of passports involved in this one. UConn works it along the back line. Again, looking for an exciting finish, much like we saw in Florida last Sunday. And of course, it all builds up towards the Women's College Cup. We'll check in with Haley here in just a moment. Huskies trying to check in with the goal. Back post, can't reach. Goal kick coming up. Haley?
Well, it was such a great tournament from the women's side in Florida last week, and a team that's really looking to make a run this year in the College Cup is UCF. And we mentioned first-year head coach Scott Calabrese, and he actually has a really interesting connection to UCF even before he even got here. So Coach Calabrese has a connection to UCF women's soccer head coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahedek. He coached her professionally as a member of the Carolina Courage in 2002. So it's been pretty neat that these two head coaches have that history and have been able to sort of bounce ideas off of each other here this season. And we actually have a pretty cool feature coming up at halftime on their connection too.
That's what we call a tease. Scoreless here in the opening half. Jennings 1v1 trying to lay it off. UCF back on it, top of the 18. Flag will stay down. This was Sorokin. Sorokin slips through but cannot keep it inside the near post.
That's so unfortunate for Sorokin. He'll really want that one back. It was dangerous play again from Cal Jennings that originally created the chance. We're going to see it here again. Sorokin just sticking with the ball, working hard. You got to put that one across frame. That way, if maybe you get a save, you get a deflection, you get a tap in on the far post.
It's your holding midfielder, a freshman from Jerusalem, but he's one of the oldest players on the team because he served a few years in the Israeli army. Or making his way over for his collegiate career. He's been able to get UCF out of some dangerous situations as the holding midfielder that time, trying to create on the offensive side. Throw for UConn from Andrew Garris. Fifth-year senior out of Portland, Connecticut. Out to Soleil. And after a misstep from Czech Stefan Colley, Soleil's pass back over to UCF.
Very nice interchange play there from UCF.
Knights building an attack. Barry, one of the two men from France again in their first campaign. Unable to pull the trigger from within 25, and the Knights may have squandered an opportunity.
Oliveros with a bad first touch there.
Apostle sends it to the back line of UCF. Single elimination tournament this week. One of these two teams will have a chance to play a second match on Sunday for the title against the winner of SMU and Temple. And that cross denied. It'll be a throw coming up for UCF. UCF finishes 4-2-1 in this league. Pardon me, 1 point better than UConn at 4-3-0. Looking for the back post. Denied access by Apostle.
That's a good cross in, but just not enough players in the box.
And no mistake by that back line of UConn. Simply a goal kick coming up for their keeper, Levine. UConn will dip into its bench for the first time. Nico Petridis, the sophomore from Norwalk, Connecticut. You and I saw Nico on his birthday up in stores earlier this year. Actually had the game winner on his birthday.
He's an incredibly talented player. I'm actually excited to see him come in and see what he can bring to this game. He's got a ton of pace going down this left-hand side. And like we said before, he can bag a goal.
Makes his 18th appearance overall. About a third of them off of the bench, including today. Comes on for Nicholas Apostle. This may not produce 5 goals like we saw the last time they met. That was October 21st. UConn's just had 1 win since then, and that was out of conference against Yale. As a foul will send us the other way.
It's interesting how even this match is so far. Another team has really gained much momentum. You know, the game's ebbing and flowing very, very nicely so far. As we see this foul here on Josh Burnett, he gets upended and pulls his defender down. That's Sorokin. And clear and obvious foul there from Josh Burnett.
When you and I saw Petridis score that game winner, this was a UConn team still vying for the top of the standings. That's when Tulsa looked like the Golden Hurricane would be in the hunt for the title this year, not qualifying when it was all said and done. And what that means is we will have a new tournament champion For the first time in 4 years, the last 3 seasons, the Golden Hurricane made it to the final and won it in a shootout. Not this year.
It's always good to see the trophy go to a new team.
Unless you live in Tulsa.
That's true. You're absolutely right about that. But it's just good for the game, and it's good for the conference to have a different champion every now and then.
Of course, rarely were they the #1 seed. They would upset teams, including UConn, in Stores when they hosted recently. Ball sent in, unable to clear, but it'll slip all the way through. Trying to track it down is Oliveros. Ricardo, one of your 2 transfers from Louisville. And a throw coming up for UConn.
Cal Jennings is seeing a lot of the ball down this right-hand side, and Munir Saleh is showing him to his stronger right foot. I like to see Cal really run at Saleh and whip some crosses in.
Saleh, again, the Canadian in his sophomore year. Throws it in to Ngog. And back around the Knights' back line. Klosky. Let's see Abdu Bakijam pressure this ball some. He has not had a touch in a while, and that is always a good sign for the opposing defense. Knights looking to strike first. Jennings on the wing. Can't get past his man.
UCF really need to get more players into the box. There was only maybe 1 or 2 in there. Oliveros and Matias Busela making a late run in. If they're having the ball up the field, they're having tons of possession up the field. Just not getting enough numbers in the box to be dangerous.
28 minutes complete here in our opening semifinal. The 3rd seed Huskies of UConn squaring off against the Knights of the 2nd seeded program from UCF. And UCF will have another quality chance here outside the box for the free kick.
This is their first opportunity to have a dangerous set piece other than a corner just outside the 18-yard box. Ball up in the air, looked like maybe an elbow, or I'm not sure. He's grabbing the back of his head.
Oliveros is back up on his feet. And he and Max Stigwart both transferred back home to Florida. They're both from Weston, Florida, both juniors. Started their careers at Louisville. Wanted to be back closer to home. Louis Perez. Back on it. Again with that left boot. Knights looking to take the advantage. Instead, it's Jennings. They've overthought it.
And not what you want to see on that free kick opportunity there. Want to see a nice whipped in curling cross just around that penalty area. That's not what we saw, unfortunately, there for the Knights.
Mentioned Knights are unbeaten in their last 7. They've won their last 5. Where was their last loss? Well, it was September 29th, right here against SMU. It was a good month of October for UCF. UConn methodical will send it to its back line again. Through the midfield to Ngog. And UCF. The turnover leads to a shot, and it's wide. Simply a goal kick coming up. There's your Offensive Player of the Year. Back-to-back season now for UCF as Puzla off the mark.
We're going to see it here. Well, Ngog is the one who originally loses the ball, just trying to force the ball forward instead of making the safer pass back. Loses possession, and he's lucky that UCF don't put the ball on frame.
Puzla gets a lot of credit from everybody involved with the program for helping some of the older players embrace the new head coach and the new staff. We will mention Scott Calabrese did keep on assistant coach Will Clayton. Obviously, you like to have a guy who already knows your current personnel and also knows how to navigate through the administration. How each athletic department is so different. And Will Clayton's provided that consistency.
We've talked about the sort of spell of time where it takes you to get used to the coach, so it takes the coach a bit of time to get used to his surroundings as well. That's something that's sometimes overlooked.
Shadows have almost completely engulfed Westcott Field, and with that, a temperature drop for the student athletes. Chipped over that back line. Rosenberg is ready. Matthew Rosenberg this year just 5 goals allowed in 8+ matches, a .64 goals against average this year, 3 shutouts to his name. They are 5-1-1 with him manning the frame. Of course, nobody knows the importance of a goalkeeper more than the defenders on that back line. Let's check in with our key defender, and Haley.
That's right. Goalkeepers are so important, and lucky for Coach Calabrese, he has 2 really great ones on his roster. Unfortunately, earlier in the season, Yannick was injured, but Matt stepped in, and it's really tough to make a change at this point in the season when Matt has been playing so well. He's gotten better each and every game. In fact, 2 key saves in the second half at Cincinnati allowed them to have the opportunity to be in this position to win that game and clinch the 2 seed. So a really outstanding second half to the season for Matt.
Yeah, we were told Ertl, who is coming back from a lower body injury, could potentially return today. And again, the question is just, you want the consistency or the guy who is your day 1 starter? They're going with the consistency of Rosenberg. UCF will make a change.
There's Gorka Pregame coming on there.
Pregame, a junior out of Winter Springs, Florida. UCF does not have to go far to find talent. If it wants to stay in the Sunshine State, so be it. Of course, a lot of their recruiting battles involve a certain other Florida school in the American. An offside flag is up. Back over to UCF. Our referee today, Jorge Luna Hernandez, assisted by Carlos Fernandez, as well as Casio Ribeiro.
We're seeing high pressure here from UConn. They're making Rosenberg make some decisions.
Scoreless here in the opening half in Dallas on the campus of SMU. Mustangs will step onto the pitch later tonight against Temple. What a rise Temple had near the end of the season to qualify to be among the 4 teams to make their way here into the semifinals. We'll lose it through the midfield. And a corner kick coming up for the Knights. See if Puzla handles it.
It's good defending from UConn there, and Oliveira's forcing the corner.
And Puzla with 5 assists this year to go with his 12 goals. A quiet leader for this program, leads by example. Has done so really for the past couple of years now. Trying to get UCF on the board as we approach the final 10 minutes of the opening half. And again, UConn has the answer. Defense holds strong.
Puzla making it a point to really attack that near post. Hasn't been successful so far. We'll see what he can do here running at the back line.
Puzla again, a line drive single hop into the arms of Levine.
Again, just attacking that near post, and UConn have dealt with it well.
Those are some crisp offerings from the night, both on the corner kick and then subsequently on that last cross, or that last shot, I should say. Abdubaki Jam, brief touch. See if they can find him. Silva right now, the forward most Husky. They're looking for De Silva with 3 Knights on him.
Not enough pace on that ball, just a floater into the box, sort of a hopeful ball with not much direction on it. See if we see another long throw here from UConn, or it's going to be a corner, excuse me. Nico Petridis on corner assignment here.
And Petridis, just a sophomore, 3 assists this year to go with 3 goals. as he tries to direct traffic. And Burnett as a short option. Petridis towards the top of the 6. Huskies do get the first head on it, but no direction behind that ball.
And that was Austin De Silva. Again, as you said, couldn't get a whole lot on that ball. Again, it was a lofted one, not a ton of pace behind it.
Rosenberg's only been called upon to make 18 saves this year, in about half a season's worth of matches as the goalkeeper. You know, it catches your attention when you see a keeper flirting with maybe 100 saves for a season, but that's not what you're looking for out of your goalkeeper. You'd be just fine if they only have to make a couple, as long as the ball's not getting past them. That means your back line, which at times is organized by the goalkeeper, is doing its job.
They've been solid all season, and you know, Rosenberg gives them a lot of confidence. He's very vocal with his back line, really dictating where they need to be at all times. So it's a nice bit of synergy there from their goalkeeper and the back line.
And this will reset with Levine at the top of the 18. There are 4 goalkeepers on the roster for UConn. Only one has seen any time out there on the pitch this year. Levine has been able to finish what he has started all season long. Huskies looking for any little crack they can find. That defense getting back on side, playing towards the back post. Baki Jom heads it to the top of the 18. And just a nice job overall by Jack McCloskey, able to keep the opportunistic Huskies off of that opportunity.
That was incredibly dangerous, and UCF just calmly deals with it. We just talked about how solid they've been, and they really showed their experience there.
And again, that's a freshman for UCF getting the job done. On the other end, Uzla out of Helsinki. Work it all the way around over the far left wing. Levine dictating instructions. Oh, great lead ball, just gets tangled up. And UConn able to hold him off as Andrew Garris lands on this one.
It was great defending from Garris and ambitious effort there to get around him from Oliveros.
5.5 remaining in this opening half. Still without a goal here in Dallas. Ortianen sends it in. As Josh Burnett hits the deck, able to pick himself up. Laying it off out wide along the perimeter of the 18, and it'll be a corner kick again for the Knights.
We've had tons of opportunities from corner kicks. They really need to capitalize on this one before the first half ends.
Look at Oliveros. Tias Puzula will continue to handle the corners across the way. Again, these have been some powerful balls sent in. A little more loft on this one, and it's directed wide. Oh, UCF's bench was looking to erupt on that one. Instead, it'll be the UConn bench. In some fresh legs in a moment. Another look.
And that was a great delivery there from Apusala. And it was Gorka Parabe that got on the end of that one. And it was just wide.
Alex Cow is going to come on, the senior from Paris for UConn, making his 12th appearance this year. Ray Reed will send him on for Shek Stefan Coley.
Coley's worked hard in the midfield today so far. Nice physical midfielder.
Remember, UConn was playing on this field Saturday for the regular season title. Now just one goal, a heartbreaker against SMU. The only goal of the match be the difference ultimately between the #1 seed and the #3 seed here today.
Good tackle.
UConn not giving up. Back on it.
That could be a card there from Josh Burnett. It was a clear elbow on the UCF player. That's Louis Perez there on the ground.
And we'll get the clarification here in a moment from our referee, Jorge Luna Hernandez.
Looked like there may have been a little bit of pulling there from Perez. We're going to see it here again. Oh, not even any contact before that elbow.
Just a solid forearm right to the nose as it sends Perez down. The freshman able to pick himself up. And it is a yellow.
That's for Pusla for talking, looks like.
You hear Ray Reed pleading his case for his man.
Fortunately, he's not right. They didn't hold him back at all. I thought so too at first look, but on the replay, no contact was made there from Perez on Burnett, and it was just a tough, stiff forearm there to the face.
And they will sub to pull Burnett, who's going to play on a yellow otherwise.
He's such an important player for the Huskies. Can't afford to lose him on a red card and another dumb mistake.
So Huskies' answer will be bringing on Mateus Souza for just a 4th time this year, the 4th-year junior out of West Hartford, Connecticut. Will look to close out the first half. And so after the foul, sets up this free kick from Perez. The top of the 18, but no closer.
It's unfortunate that that free kick was not good enough.
It was Perez who took that forearm to the nose.
Might be still tearing up there. We could use that as an excuse.
Ortianen will toss this one in. Perez.
That's a better delivery.
Our post started to bend. Levine comes through.
Again, just a Parabay, the only one really in the box aside from Jennings, but they really need to pour forward from the midfield and get more players into the box and be more dangerous.
And as you noted, I believe Pusla did hit a yellow for dissent in that moment there after the foul. So number 10 for both teams. Quit playing on a card. Two minutes till the half, and either team strike and take an advantage into the locker room.
Good ball.
Dubaki Jom sends it to the far side, over to Garris.
That's unfortunate because that was a great ball out wide to switch the field of play from Abdou Jam. He's got such a high soccer IQ.
Uzla looks around, figure out which teammate he will get involved. And UCF gives it right back. UConn back to the bench, goes to DeAndre Brown. He'll make his 10th appearance on the year, the junior out of Springfield, Massachusetts. This final 60-second push, and he's going to come on for Abdubaki Jam.
John been a little bit frustrated so far in this match. Hasn't had the ball at his feet as much as he's wanted to.
And the Knights find a goal here in the final 30 seconds of this half. Huskies charged with keeping them off the board and keeping us level. And the numbers game adds up for UConn. Countdown about to begin.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Our first 45 minutes of play will lead to slightly fewer fireworks than we saw when these two teams met during the regular season. Check in with Haley Outen. She's with the first-year head coach of UCF, Scott Calabrese.
Coach, seemed like a pretty evenly played first half, but you mentioned to me before the game that stopping their counter and being prepared for that defensively was a main focus for your team. How happy were you with your defense in this first half?
Yeah, I think we did a relatively decent job in terms of limiting their counter. They still actually, though, on a couple set pieces, got down the field quicker than we recovered and were more dangerous than we wanted them to be, so we have to pay attention to that.
It seemed like your team was trying to build and created some opportunities offensively. What is it going to take to finally capitalize on one of those opportunities?
Well, I think we were uncharacteristically not clean coming out of the back, and typically we're a little bit more fluid in our passing. Our passes are cleaner, and so I think that was a little bit of a difficulty for us. It contributed to us not playing passes higher up the field quicker. So I think that's something we have to improve on. We have to come out of the back cleaner than we have. And that's down to UConn partly. They pressed us a little bit higher on the field than they did in the first game.
It seems like this game got really intense, kind of a physical matchup now. What's your message to the team at halftime just to get them regrouped and refocused and ready for a second half of soccer?
Well, I think we know what our identity is, and we know how we want to play, and we know the game plan, and when we focus on that and we execute on that, then we give ourselves the best chance.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Haley, as we'll hear from Coach Reed and UConn coming out of the locker room before the start of the second half. Scoreless here in Dallas. Our first of two semifinals today on the campus of SMU. All of this part of the men's semifinals in the American Athletic Conference live on ADN.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Here at UCF, we have one of the best coaching staffs in the nation. While all of the coaches share a bond of being able to call themselves a Knights family, two coaches in particular have a bond like no other.
She played holding mid for our team, for the Carolina Courage. She was the captain. She was an incredible leader.
So who is this incredible athlete Coach Calabrese is talking about? It's the one and only UCF women's head soccer coach, Tiffany Roberts-Zahadak, who he coached in the 2002 season for the WUSA team, the Carolina Courage.
He was always a very positive coach back then and very tactical and worked with our defense. So, I did learn a lot from him as well back then.
Coach Roberts-Zahadak helped lead the Carolina Courage to win the Founders Cup.
She was an inspiration to the players around her. She was someone as a coach who it's the first person you put on the board, and you essentially build a team around her.
Coach Roberts-Zahadak was thrilled to hear that her former coach was soon going to join her at UCF back in 2016.
My husband Tim and I, who worked together, we were so excited to hear when Coach Calabrese was hired, with him coaching me back in the day, and he also worked with my husband already with the youth club team. So we already had that connection, so we knew it was just going to be another great connection working together here at UCF.
Coach Calabrese now says that he isn't the only one doing all of the coaching.
I'm always inquiring as to what they're doing, and we have this great dialogue between the two programs where I'm always trying to learn from her and from their program, and we exchange kind of how we like to do things, and I think it's really beneficial to us and hopefully also to them.
The two coaches now work together to build a successful UCF soccer program.
We're very supportive of one another. We're constantly texting one another when someone wins, and we give a lot of support. But yes, I mean we've shared slides with each other and video, so we are very collaborative staffs.
Back in the day, Coach Calabrese had no doubt that Coach Robert Zahadak had coaching in her blood.
Oh, absolutely. She had all of the characteristics to lead, and clearly she's been able to inspire the UCF group.
Reporting for Campus Connect, I'm Brianna Sorensen.
This is a classroom.
This is a lab.
This is a study break.
This is family.
This is home.
This is UConn.
People say we're big. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it.
On September 12th, UConn goalkeeper Scott Levine made his 57th consecutive start, passing Andre Blake for the second most consecutive starts by a goalkeeper in UConn's history. We spoke to the man the fans call the goalie god about what it's been like to call this area behind me home for so many consecutive games. The fans here love Levine, and it's easy to see why after what he just accomplished.
It's incredibly special to me. I've told a lot of people here that I've wanted to play at UConn since I was 5 or 6 years old, and to be able to not only play here but accomplish something like that is incredibly, it's big for me, for my family.
And his accomplishment was actually helped along by the man he surpassed. Levine and Blake's careers crossed paths for 1 year in 2013 when Levine redshirted during Blake's final season as a Husky. Levine said he learned a lot from Blake in that short time.
But Andre was great. He was a good guy to talk to, and to see his confidence on the field definitely helped me when I was able to take over. One of the biggest things I learned when I came to college and from meeting Andre, was you have to be a player on and off the field.
And the UConn supporters here in the Goal Patrol have seen Levine live up to that throughout his career, noting his success and similarities to Andre Blake.
Addy is great on the field, but he's an even better person off the field. That's what UConn's all about.
I see a tenaciousness. I see this desire to win, and both of them have it. Both of them have it, and they have this incredible inherent talent.
But Blake is not the only person Levine has taken lessons from during his time at UConn. He said part of what's made him so successful is that he has taken advice from all different directions.
I think it's important to take advice and learn from everyone you come in contact with. So I think in my time here at UConn, I've tried to do that.
With everything he's learned, Levine has become one of the most important leaders for the Huskies, and his teammates will tell you the same, praising Levine's character and talent both on and off the field.
He's a great leader, great example on the field. He's improved a ton over the summer. He's big time, you've seen in the games, but he's become one of our best players, so off the field and on, he's just a great example for everyone.
He's a leader, he's a captain, and in my terms, I think overall he's an outstanding goalkeeper.
Those traits could be what lead UConn to success this year. Levine sees a lot of potential in his team, and even though this is his final season in a Husky uniform and he wants to go out on top, he's still making sure to take things day by day.
Our team's goals are sky high, but that's good. You need to have big ambitions, but at the same time, we need to keep ourselves grounded.
For Campus Connect, from UConn, I'm Brandon Carney.
This is a classroom.
This is a lab.
This is a study break.
This is family.
This is home.
This is UConn.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Halftime in Dallas. The Mustangs will take the pitch later tonight against the Temple Owls. Right now, midway through between UConn, your 3 seed, UCF, your number 2 seed. One of them will have a chance to play for the American Athletic Conference men's soccer title on Sunday. Second half coming up here on the American Digital Network.
This is a classroom.
This is a lab.
This is a study break.
This is family.
This is home.
This is UConn.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Welcome back to Westcott Field for the American men's soccer semifinals. UConn and UCF both emerging from the locker room. In a moment, we'll have a chance to check back in with Haley and head coach Ray Reed of the Huskies. But Lincoln Rose, Roland Garensway with you here on the American Digital Network. Roland, your thoughts on the opening 45?
Well, it was actually a lot of fun to watch. You know, the game really ebbed and flowed. Neither team getting a ton of momentum going forward. Some good shot opportunities for both clubs. So I really think it's going to stay even in the second half. It's really just going to come down to who finishes their opportunities in the final third.
Again, it was a 3-2 final for UCF in the midst of this 7-match unbeaten streak. UConn, though, all of a sudden can redirect their path, looking to get that automatic bid into the NCAA tournament if they can prevail today and again on Sunday against either SMU or Temple. Both teams will have players, important players, playing on a yellow going into the second half as a couple of yellow cards came out there in the final 3 minutes of the opening period of play.
And we see one of those guys, Josh Burnett, there, making a bit of a freshman mistake.
Let's check in with Haley, who's with head coach of UConn, Ray Reed.
Coach, scoreless at the half. What was your message to the team at halftime?
Yeah, you know, I thought parts of the first half we were very good. I think parts of the first half we showed our youth. But, you know, we're right in the game. It's an even game. Maybe we're a little bit better. We just got to be good defensively and break their set defense down.
You mentioned it, rather, a pretty even game up to this point. What would you like to see from your team in terms of execution here in the second half?
We got to be a little cleaner in the final third, getting behind their backs.
All right, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Haley. And for those of you paying attention, she has transitioned to mittens with the sun starting to subside on this Friday evening. The temperatures are dropping, but most of those young men will be able to stay warm by traversing this pitch for at least another 45 minutes. Glad to have you with us here on the American Digital Network. Levine will step back into his frame now on the opposite end. You know, Ray Reid mentioned youth, but both of these teams, great freshmen, helping get them here this year.
Absolutely. We just saw one we mentioned earlier again, just Josh Barnett. He's been the most impressive freshman that I've seen so far this season. He just really runs that midfield, connects the midfield to the attack. He has a ton of chemistry with Abu Jam. So he's been really impressive here. And again, with UCF, you know, they have freshmen all over the field as well. Just tons of talent, especially in their youth for both these clubs.
Josh Burnett looks like he will start the second half for the Huskies, playing on that yellow that he picked up late. And across the way, of course, it is going to be Rosenberg for the second half as well, the 6'1" sophomore for UCF.
Not a ton to do for either goalkeeper in terms of shots on goal. We hope that changes here in the second half.
Just about set to go, as the Knights will huddle up one final time. 45 minutes could be all that separates one of these two teams from a berth into the championship on Sunday. Of course, we'll hand things off over to ESPNU for that 1 o'clock Central Time kick to determine who will represent the American with the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. Talented Huskies Women's Club. They were here a few years ago, competing for the title. A look at Zachary Waitman, your junior defender from Montverde, Florida, on that back line. No goals in that opening half. Again, it was a 3-2 final for UCF earlier this year. And we are back underway in Dallas. Looking for a quick answer over the top for the Huskies. A foul called, pardon me, offside flag will go up. And it's back over to UCF. Flow to pop up. Steinecker. Here out of Norway.
As we mentioned before in the first half, he's really the leader in that back line there. Keeps them so organized. Physical defender. Reads the game really well. He's a good ball-playing center half.
They missed him much of last year. Only made 6 starts before going down to injury. This year he's been able to mentor some young center backs.
It's a nice play so far from UCF.
UCF had a few more quality opportunities than did the Huskies in that first half. And here is their first since emerging from the locker room. Another corner kick for the men from Orlando.
Decent play there from the Knights, but it was great defending there from Amir Saleh. Great slide tackle, but again, UCF with another corner. Can they capitalize on this one?
And again, Perez, one of the 2 men to handle corners today for the Knights. They go to him for that left foot. Perez sends to the top of the 6th, and again, the Huskies make no mistake on that back line.
The execution on their corner kicks has not been good enough today so far. They've been winning a ton of corner kicks. They've been dangerous in going forward, but they really need to capitalize on these set pieces.
UCF outshot UConn that first half, 6-2. Each team, though, just 1 shot on frame, and both of our goalkeepers able to come up with the respective save. UCF controlling the corners, 6-1. But, of course, most importantly, a couple of zeros factoring into the box score on the score line. Out wide, Barry.
Patient play from Sorokin.
Back to the freshman from France. Tabou Berry from Paris, along with Louis Perez. Cross sent in, headed right back out. by Jacob Hauser-Ramsey, your center back, playing the role of Postmaster General, returning it for insufficient postage.
And that last bit of play there for the last minute and a half or 2 minutes is really what you want to see from UCF. Being patient in possession, playing the ball to feet, really moving off the ball really well. That's how they're going to find success today.
Munir Saleh will have the throw, with UConn back in its own defensive third. And this match may very well simply come down to which discipline side makes the mistake.
You're absolutely right. Both defenses have, really been switched on and not made many mistakes so far. That's why you've seen the stalemate so far in this match.
Unable to gain momentum, back over to the Knights. Even numbers, though, pushing forward. Into some space. That's the boot you want, Puzula. And, of course, he's going to draw attention. Dispossessed by De Silva. Great communication out there. Two coaches can sit back and watch for a little while, and trusting that they've done their job.
Communication is so important to any team. It's the mark of a good team when you hear, the most important players in the midfield and the defense really communicating to the rest of their teammates.
Burnett playing on that yellow. Up ahead to Garris.
This is good stuff from UConn as well. Coley's got to take his space here.
Winds up with Garris once again, the fifth-year senior. The defender playing forward, out wide into some space.
Very nice switch of play.
Knights staying organized.
That's good defending there from the Knights.
And it'll simply cross the end line, setting up the goal kick. And that's what you like to see out of your goalkeeper. That ball eventually just reaches you under your own terms for the goal kick.
We've seen it with both teams now early on in the second half. Very patient play, very good possession, playing the ball to feet, letting the ball do the work, working it from left to right, right to left. And again, just both defenses being solid at the back.
And UCF goes 7-5 and 2 draws this year. Most importantly, 4-2-1, really clicking in conference play. UConn 4-3-0, your preseason favorites in this conference, almost lived up to that billing had they prevailed against SMU. SMU only needed a win or draw. They were 1 point ahead of UConn in the table going into the final match of the regular season after UConn had lost the previous week, where SMU was able to salvage a point on a draw. UConn unable to come away with points, found themselves being leapfrogged by UCF into the 2 seed. Team that really got jumped was USF down the stretch. So again, they were in contention for a title. Next thing you know, Temple takes their spot as the 4 seed.
That was clearly the biggest surprise because we'd seen USF play, and they're just incredibly talented.
Just enough pace on that pass to Levine. UCF will have it. Pardon me, I said Levine. Obviously back Rosenberg for the Knights. Both goalkeepers just called upon to make one stop apiece in that first half. Doesn't mean we didn't have a few moments of interest around the area. And they'll simply concede it over to UCF for the throw here in the offensive third.
That's unfortunate. Had a nice bit of possession there.
Already better than 7 minutes into the second half. Slightly slower tempo here since emerging from the locker room. Perhaps each side a tad more careful. A goal here in the second half would loom large for either side in terms of advancing to that championship on Sunday.
As I mentioned before, you know, both teams not having any trouble finding possession. It's just been that final ball in the final third in attack. Not even many shots on goal from either team. Just missing that last ball to really pierce the defense of the opposing side.
When these two teams did meet in Stores, that first goal, man, came in the opening 3 minutes. Cal Jennings at the time, his 4th goal of the season. UCF would jump up 2-0 with a goal early in the second half. UConn would answer but never be able to pull even, as they would trade goals late in the second half with UCF hanging on. The game winner ultimately would be credited to Cal Jennings, who had a brace in that matchup. Knights out wide. And the ball sent right to that near post. Levine is there and ready. As it all went through Oliveros that time.
Again, that final ball just not good enough there for the Knights.
Oliveros is going to stick around a little bit longer, just in case Levine wants to have a chat with him. And the Knights are going to come knocking, presumably once again. Huzla out wide. 4 Knights forward on the edge of the 18. And again, expert footwork defensively by Soleil. So scoreless here, 10 minutes into the second half, as we'll get another quick look. And a toss. It's going to be a corner kick coming up. Let's check in with Haley real quick.
So I don't know if you guys noticed, but on that last play, left back Zach Waitman made that run all the way from midfield into the box. And he's a great individual 1v1 defender, but what's even more impressive is that he's so fit. He's like an engine. He's physically extremely very gifted. He can make those runs all game long, something that Coach says is pretty unique about his skill set.
Perez will send it in. Levine punches it out. Still loose along the 18. Zach Waitman, again, the junior out of Montverde, Florida. Talented defender, making his 14th start here tonight. And helping keep the clean sheet on behalf of UCF. Waitman with the number 5 on his back, just outside of your picture. Now gets the touch at midfield. You wanted to hear the report from Haley. Oliveros again pestering that back line of UConn. Now it's like recess after lunch. Oliveros playing the role of a young Lincoln Rose.
UConn with the ball right now, just unable to find any ideas going forward. The midfield and the back line of the UCF Knights right now are just so defensively organized. You see him there, a nice step-in header. Just really running out of ideas, UConn is.
Steiniger, the second team all-conference center back, denied the initial attack. Waitman gives it back to UConn. Can they capitalize? As staying on it for UConn is De Silva. UConn cannot continue to link their passes.
Oof.
And that will be a foul in favor of the Knights. So UConn almost with the opportunity to pounce on a miscue from UCF, but no shot would ever come of it. And here's UCF back to business with Barry. And too many dance partners for the Frenchman.
All kinds of stepovers there. Unfortunately, it comes to nothing.
Barry this year 3 assists. Love to find his first collegiate goal here in Dallas to advance the cause of the Knights. Abdou Baki Jam, a goal would not be his first by any means.
A little bit selfish there in the final third. like to see them lay the ball off. One of his teammates, Chet Coley, was in the area as well.
A full tank, hip to hip.
It's good defending there from Ngog.
Ngog holds his ground outside the 18. The foul on UCF. Back over to UConn.
UConn has done a good job of neutralizing Cal Jennings and his speed. We see Ngog right there taking the foul. Cal Jennings hasn't had the amount of possession he'd like to see in the second half, partly because UConn have dealt with him so well.
Again, a good look there at Blaze Ngog, a member of the all-rookie team. All these regular season awards announced this week leading up to the conference tournament. Ngog this year, a goal and an assist for the midfielder at 6 feet out of France. Found that first career goal against Maryland on a PK. They'll reset it back to Rosenberg. Well, from a broadcaster standpoint, a debate between goalkeepers is always an interesting tidbit, but frankly, in tonight's matchup, I'm not sure it's relevant, at least as of yet.
Now they've had much to do. You saw Levine punch at a corner just a few minutes ago. He dealt with that well, but other than that, not much to do, as we said, from either goalkeeper.
And a handball on Oliveros. So we're going to see Nico Petrides again enter this match off of the bench. The sophomore will come on for Austin De Silva.
Gorka Parabé coming on for UCF as well. He's a big physical presence. He could make a difference in this one. Nico Petrides, we mentioned before, is a speedy winger down this left-hand side.
We're going to make them wait for the personnel change from both teams.
Dangerous ball back there from Barry.
UCF able to regroup. Loose ball, 25 yards up ahead. Offside flag is up. This is inconsequential.
Referee saying it was not offside. It was actually a decent shot on goal here. Defensive UCF, 6s and 7s, and a decent shot on goal, as we just said. Rosenberg in position, not really troubled by the shot.
A near side flag had gone up. Referee waved him off, and then you saw the shot on frame denied by Rosenberg.
That was the first time we've seen the Knights defense be frazzled at all.
We'll keep it low, out on the wing. Cross sent in, right across the face of Levine. No Knight there to take advantage. And UConn survives a scare.
Substitution.
And that was a beautiful cross there from Martianen. I don't know how much more this UCF attack wants. We're going to see it here, just across the 6-yard box. Can't get a touch in there from Oliveros. Cal Jennings late running in back post. Just so unfortunate there for the Knights, but a wonderful cross there from Martianen.
Jennings was poised to be the hero. Oliveros comes off. Waitman into space, nobody there. Goal kick coming up for Levine. Down to our final 28.5 minutes to go here in the first 90 of play. Of course, we have to advance one of these teams, so we will not simply leave it at a draw. We go into overtime just like we would in the regular season. 10 minutes, followed by another 10 minutes if needed. After that, we go to the shootout and declare it a draw, but advance shootout winner onto the championship. We've got time for all that to be a moot point. Uzla out wide. Jennings. Huskies looking for the counter. And UConn just can't link anything together. Not getting within 40 yards.
That was good trekking back there from Perez.
Ball was Steiniger. Rosenberg, 19 yards off of his line. Cross midfield. Header from Garris. Again, Puzlo will direct it to that back line. And just a tad heavy on the pass, but UCF back on it. And no crack in that back line from UConn. That time Burgess, Kosi Burgess, the 6'3" defender, putting it into the UCF attack.
Good hustle there from Pusla. It's really been a midfield battle today.
Wearing the captain's armband, of course.
Most of the possession has been in this middle third here. Really, the attacks from both teams have been breaking down in the final third. Both teams just lacking that killer instinct so far in this matchup.
UConn with the pitch tilting in its favor right now. The ball hits the pin and stays on. Harris will get things started once again. Coley sends one into the 18, just tries to create something. Treatis back in again off of the bench. And UConn will have to go back to the drawing board. Out wide where UConn has a slight numbers advantage, including Apostle. And this stays with the Huskies, flirting with that offensive third. Abdubaki Jam, a couple of quick touches.
UConn need to switch the field of play here.
Burgess.
Looking at UConn, we have two midfielders in the exact same position with Coley and Burnett. That's not what you want to see. You need to be better at communicating and noticing where each other are.
UConn will slowly be able to matriculate farther down the pitch.
It's been part of the problem in the final third. It looks like a lot of the UConn Huskies are making the same runs.
Makes it easier on UCF to mark them. All the way back to Levine. A little over 20 minutes since these two teams emerged from the locker room at halftime. Ngog sends it up. Huskies within 25. Beautiful feed and just gets past the big toe of Petridis.
That's so unfortunate. He made a great diagonal run coming down the right-hand side. And just that first touch let him down, unfortunately.
Another opportunity lost, this time for UConn. As a result, the scoreboard operator, we don't even officially know if he's here yet.
Hasn't had to do much, has he?
UConn with a few more quality opportunities coming here in the second half, after withstanding the attack from UCF in the opening 45. Garris sends it in. Shot fired from Baki Jam, but it'll be deflected wide. A corner kick for the Huskies.
That was a dangerous ball in there from Garris. We're going to see it again here in a second. Abdu John eventually gets on the end of that one. We're going to see it here. Dangerous ball in. Steininger doesn't deal with it, and John hops on that ball, but again, Steininger recovers, and it's a corner kick for UConn. What can Nico Petridis do here for the Huskies?
Number 19, Petridis.
Is this the opportunity the Huskies have been waiting for to take a lead here in tonight's semifinal?
Good ball in.
About 8 yards up, and UConn cannot angle it onto the frame.
He's looking for the head of Abdu Jam. Fortunately, Jam can't get enough on that. UConn still with possession and numbers forward here. What can they do? They give the ball away.
Not enough pace to the pass to Burnett.
That's the last person you want to see on a fast break there.
Huzela had ideas of taking that ball to the opposing frame. And UCF will be able to collect and get its numbers back on defense. Petridis with the throw coming up. Looking for Petridis. Won't be able to connect that time. Burnett to the top of the 18. Just unable to turn.
It's unfortunate. Apostle was in all kinds of space on that left-hand side. Burnett chooses to go to the center of that UCF defense, and they lose possession. But here's Ngog. Wins the ball back.
Through the center circle.
Again, just forcing the ball forward. That's not the answer. Garris was in some space here on the right-hand side, and as he gets the ball now Petridis is in space. Now he needs to run at his defender.
Petridis will dip inside the 18. Abdu Baki John was looking to link up with him. A cross sent in on the near post, hoping to get to Sheck Stefan Colley, had there been a mistake made by Rosenberg.
We're going to see it again here. Petridis just gets on the end of that. Great hustle, but Rosenberg, again, no trouble at all.
And Coley's still in search of his first goal on the year.
UCF
will go back to Stigwart.
Number 19, Max Stigwart.
Cal Jennings will get a rest here. Didn't get as many touches on the ball as he would have liked.
Stigwart from Cypress Bay High out of Weston, Florida. Went to high school with a few of the current Knights. Haven't seen Gregorio Ibanez, a freshman this year, but also with Ricardo Oliveros, a fellow transfer from Louisville. Ball sent in, body goes flying in front of Levine. Again, Knights came looking for that go-ahead goal, but will leave empty-handed.
Levine surprised by a player crashing the box across his face. Didn't see him at all, and it's a great ball in by Barry. Again, Levine doesn't quite deal with it, but it's a substitute that gets that last touch.
And Stigwart flashing right in front of Levine. Petridis, a decision to make, will push forward.
Nice interchange play.
With Burnett. Oof. UCF has one man down back at midfield.
That's a dangerous slide tackle.
As Barry still seated on his backside. And they're going to throw it in touch so that they can address the downed Knight. Head coach Scott Calabrese. His Knights winning the conference's Fair Play Award for the fewest fouls on the season. And Barry's second team all-conference this year in his collegiate debut.
UCF substitution
coming on for Barry.
number 22, Ricardo Oliveros.
So Ricardo back on. It's a UCF team that's outscored their opponents after halftime, 12-7. The real story is UConn after the half has not been as stingy as they have been tonight. They've conceded 12 second half goals and a couple of goals in overtime, while UConn has just scored a combined 10 goals after the half, as they have seen some matches slip away late.
Well, so far UConn looked defensively solid in this second half. As you said, 12 of their 17 that they've conceded so far this season have been in this second half. They look fairly confident. UCF not causing them too much trouble. So far it's been UConn that's been the more dangerous attack.
Just takes one. UCF was mindful of the offside flag. as UConn's back line kept them in check that last time down.
Good ball.
Over the top, able to turn, flag stays down.
Brilliant first touch and a nice little knockback.
Oliveros sends it in 12 yards up top. From 16. And the Knights will strike first here in Dallas. Sorokin, the first team all-conference freshman, gives Scott Calabrese and UCF the lead.
Well, just as we were saying, UConn looks solid defensively. They give up an incredible goal here by UCF. Beautiful play between the midfield and the striker. Gorka laying the ball off there for Sorokin, and he finishes with aplomb, makes no mistakes about it, takes a nice little touch and sticks the ball in the back of the net, tells the crowd to quiet down, and it's a wonderful goal there from the Knights.
And the former member of the Israeli army comes through with the opening strike. Could it hold up to be a game winner for the Knights and stretch them into a 6-match winning streak, 8 unbeaten into the championship on Sunday? We still have time left for a Husky response.
The Huskies have been the more dangerous so far before that goal. Do they still have some wind in their sails?
Zioni's third goal here in his freshman campaign. He hopes it can hold up as a second game winner.
Can't say enough about that layout from Gorka Pregame, and a great run. A great run there from Sorokin. And again, that finish, just a wonderful finish near post. Levine can do nothing about it.
UConn this year 0-5 when the opposition scores first. Predictably, when they score first, much better. 8-2 on the year.
It just shows that, you know, they really just break down mentally as the game goes along.
13, Perez.
And coach said showing their youth, that's one of the things that happens to young players.
Knights looking for insurance here. Perez will send it in. And Levine able to squeeze it in with both paws.
It's good goalkeeping by Levine. Very sure-handed catch.
And ensures that the Huskies simply remain down by 1 here in Dallas. Yoni Sorokin has him out on top, has the ball on his boot right now. Into some space out wide with Wartianen. He'll send one in over the crossbar as ultimately Levine does not need to intervene.
Well, it looks like that was probably a cross there from Wartianen, but just goes over the bar for Levine's bar, excuse me. Looks like he's trying to whip that ball in far post. He does have a player there, and it's Gorka Pregame. It just goes over the post. Levine had it covered.
Goal kick up to midfield. And so here we are in this always dangerous stretch, Roland, in a match moments after a goal. Let's check in with, again, a recent student athlete out there on the pitch, former defender at ECU, and Haley Outen.
Well, it's kind of funny how a goal tends to change the intensity of any match, and especially here in the postseason when it's that win or go home mentality. And for UCF, they've been playing with that mentality really in this back half of the season, knowing that if they wanted to control their own destiny and secure a spot in the playoffs, that they would have to essentially win out. So they've been playing with that playoff mentality here all season long, and in fact, they'll tell you that they're meeting pressure with confidence.
Ngog wins the foul just outside the 18, so a dangerous chance here for UConn to answer.
That was a strong run there from Ngog.
Foul, UCF.
You really see what it means to this UConn side. It was a tough foul there from Sorokin. But Ngog, as you said, kind of shrugging off the defender and drawing a foul. And let's see what Abdu John can do here. You got to think he might put one on frame. He's certainly capable of it. He doesn't. He chips it in.
The rebound will ultimately go wide, and UCF survives. They wanted to try to get Abdu Baki-Jam involved. Minimal touches tonight, and it almost pays dividends.
There's a nice little chip ball in there. Just goes over the head of the UConn Husky. It's chipped back into the box, but eventually goes out for a goal kick. You got to think Rosenberg will take his time here.
Ray Reed hoping to see an equalizer at some point in these final 13+ minutes. So again, another second half goal conceded this year for UConn. And it has them with an uphill battle. Just now across midfield. And Rosenberg will greet this ball at the top of the 6. Huskies will have the throw right in front of UCF's bench.
It was almost a nice turn from Oliveros, but Garris reads it well.
We talk about UCF pitching a shutout right now. One of the things they had to shore up early in the year was conceding set pieces, leading to a lot of goals off of free kicks and corners. Not necessarily many miscues in terms of through the run of play. But it's one of the many things that they started to patch up in time for a nice run through the conference stretch. Unbeaten through the month of October, trying to carry that into November. Hauser Ramsey finally will tap it out to Abdu Baki-Jam, who has come all the way back into that midfield.
He just hasn't had enough supply today. He's really dropping deep to try to get some touches on the ball.
They're going to reset with Levine.
And you're seeing UCF really pressing high, keeping a high line.
Final 12 minutes coming up here in regulation between UConn and UCF. Glad to have you with us for our first of 2 semifinals tonight in Dallas on the American Digital Network. Megan Rose, Roland Garensway, along with Haley Outen, giving us reports from the sideline. And so far, UCF with the lone goal, and of course produced by the freshman out of Jerusalem, Israel.
Well, I like the Knights' mentality right now after they've scored the goal.
And offside flag goes up.
But they've kept a high line and they kept pressure on UConn. They haven't chosen to sink deep and drop the bus. They're really trying to continue to win possession back and keep the pressure on these Huskies.
And this may bring a yellow out.
And that's one thing they can do, is give away dangerous free kicks.
And I believe that was awarded to Stigwart.
It's completely unnecessary to go that hard into the challenge.
19, Max
We're going to see it here again. Burnett not really going anywhere. He goes in 2-footed. And it's a clear and obvious foul. And again, another dangerous opportunity here for UConn.
Of course, Burnett's been playing on a yellow this entire second half, picked up with 3 minutes to go in that first half. And the Huskies find the equalizer here and level us at 1. Inside the 6, and it will go wide, untouched. And you can smile afterwards as mishandled. Steiniger looks up at his keeper, making sure that ball's not in the back of the net.
That was incredibly close there for UConn. Coach Calabrese with the hand over his mouth when he saw that fly just past the far post that could have gone in, and that was actually a very good free kick. When you have it at that angle, you want to put it far post, preferably on frame. So just in case of that, event where no one gets a touch on, it can still trickle into the back of the net.
UConn senses that they may be closer and closer to finding that first goal for their column. De Silva into the midfield. Back to De Silva, slips through across the 18. De Silva looking to be a hero. And it will carry wide of the frame, being deflected. A corner kick coming up.
It was a great run-in from De Silva from the right back position.
UConn corner kick.
Made a deep run into that box.
19 Petridis.
And eventually causes a corner, as we're seeing here.
Petridis sends in the corner. And UCF's surviving as, well, the UConn women serving as a goal patrol, but not quite as good of tickets as the goal patrol gets up there in Storrs, Connecticut. Obviously no seating behind either frame. As everybody here on the near side at Westcott Field. And if you're going to make the trek from Storrs, Connecticut, you just assume book that hotel for a few nights and watch your team play on into Sunday. UConn trying to make that come true. They're running into arguably the hottest team in the conference in UCF. And we briefly had a whistle that'll bring it back to midfield. Quick restart. Yoni Sorokin, the lone goal scorer so far. Third goal on the year for the young Knight. De Silva with 3 Knights, and the numbers too much.
Nice from a Pregame.
De Silva lays it off from 20, and perhaps one pass too many. And it's full speed ahead with Waitman, the defender. Looking to connect with a Pregame. Back over to the Huskies in front of their bench. Huskies have a little less than 8 minutes to respond and push this one to overtime. Abdubaki Jam trying to create
UConn really pressing forward here, but UCF very organized and a nice run in. Pusila has the ball, chooses not to give the ball up to his teammate.
Offensive player of the year in the American on the ball inside the 18. Pusila will send one to Levine, and Levine comes up with a stop and keeps it just a 1-goal deficit.
Pusila going in all alone on that one, eventually finds a shot on goal, which is incredible. He had 3 or 4 Huskies around him.
UConn will have a play. Be a throw coming up. Knights looking to weather an attack with a goal advantage, 6.5 to go here in regulation. Winner moves on to Sunday's championship. All those years where UConn denied a title. We mentioned Tulsa had the amazing run over the past 3 seasons, claiming that automatic bid each year in a shootout on the final Sunday. Levine in his final season as a Husky. And again, the Knights immediately getting it outside of the 18.
UCF doing a really good job at just dealing with everything the Huskies are throwing at them. Very defensively organized.
Best defense, possession offense. A goal lead in keeping the ball away from UConn. Oliveros is offside. He will get back.
As good as UCF have been just overall, I really think the big difference maker in the terms of how they play has been the big number 9 at center forward. He's really done a great job at holding the ball up. He was integral into the goal, providing the assist to Sorokin, but he's done a good job at just dropping back, getting possession, laying the ball out to his midfield partners and to his striking partners as well. Pregame has been very impressive so far in this match.
And all the way back to Rosenberg. Obviously no urgency for UCF. Benefit of a goal advantage that they found here in the second half. Garris. And UCF stayed disciplined here down the stretch. Tested by the defender for UConn, Burgess. Up to Burnett.
It's a freshman mistake, trying to nutmeg a player in the midfield.
Again, you see UCF will not simply rush anything. They're happy simply keeping the ball away from UConn, denying them a shot at an equalizer. Waitman will send it all the way back to Rosenberg. He's pestered by Abdubaki Jam. Yards out. And back to Burgess. A sophomore out of Deer Park, New York, will chip one in. Knights intervene. Waitman will finally get it down to the 18. Rosenberg never put a paw on it.
Great ball.
Into space.
He's got to do better than that. He's got to take the ball to the corner flag. Waste a little bit of time. Only 3 minutes left there. Instead, just gives the ball right back to the Huskies.
Parabay, who sent it up to Levine. Treatise to Burnett. Silva out wide, where UConn will have some space. Rosenberg is back inside his 6 and will squeeze this one in at chest level.
That wasn't a bad idea. Nico Petridis was making a nice run back post. But again, Rosenberg being solid in between the sticks makes a sure-handed catch.
Complimentary dribbles for the goalkeeper. We're going over the top. Garris. Inside the 18, out on the wing. But again, UCF will keep it out of the penalty area. Chipped in to the top of the 6. Still a precarious ball.
Can't let the ball bounce in your box that way.
And Rosenberg may have gotten a punch on it. And that ball is going to make its way over to Ford Stadium. So UConn kept the pressure on UCF, but finally will sky one.
Again, this UCF defense just lets the ball bounce in their box. Rosenberg does his best to punch the ball out, and then Gog comes in with the final ball, skies it. Probably hit the 50-yard line back in the stadium, the football stadium.
UCF is a little over a minute away. From possibly moving on to the championship on Sunday. Huskies throw all their numbers forward. A minute 15 and counting down. And UConn will win this on the foul. And they will stop the clock with 1:03 to go after the foul.
Last opportunity, Levine getting into the box. Let's see what kind of delivery the Huskies can put into the UCF box here. And it's not good enough, and it can be dangerous. Oh, they're going to call a handball just outside the box there. An unbelievable opportunity here for the Huskies.
A whistle, a step outside of the 18.
I believe that was Waitman.
And again, they'll stop the clock right now with 42 seconds.
We're going to see it here. Just a terrible free kick. Doesn't even get into the box. It bounces, and it does hit the hand or the arm.
Like it went into the chest and then rolled down the arm of Waitman. Abdubaki Jam.
Incredible opportunity here for the Huskies.
Silva, Petrides, all capable of pulling this one even from 18 yards out. We talked about who would be goalkeeper for UCF. This is where it matters.
Absolutely. And see if a Husky can come up big here, regardless of who takes this one. As you said before, both capable of putting the ball on frame.
Now, the lessons we learned back in first grade.
Sometimes it can be harder, though, when the ball is a little bit too close to the box, of getting the ball over the wall and underneath the crossbar there.
UConn down a goal in the semifinal. Season on the line. Abdubaki Jam off the crossbar. Still loose. UConn insists it cross the goal line.
Unbelievable.
But the Knights will play on with 30 seconds remaining, hanging on to a goal advantage. Rosenberg off his line. Still loose. And UConn cannot put the punctuation on it.
Absolutely unbelievable finish in this one so far. We're going to see a replay hopefully here and see if the ball crossed the line. It looked like the linesman wasn't in position to see it, and that's so unfortunate for the Huskies. They can't finish off two incredible opportunities, and the Knights are in the final of the American Athletic Conference Men's Soccer Tournament.
A final look. It'll hit off the crossbar.
That's a goal, and that is unbelievable. The Huskies robbed of a chance to get into the final and take this game into overtime.
Instead of overtime, 90 minutes will prove to be enough to push UCF under first-year head coach Scott Calabrese into the final on Sunday. That'll be 1 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern on ESPNU. Our Haley Outen is down on the pitch. In a moment, she'll have a chance to catch up with the victorious Knights. And again, they do not have the luxury of the replay that we have. After 90 minutes, UCF will go unbeaten now through 8 straight matches, winners of their last 6. This goal goes unnoticed. And 1-0 will be your final.
That's just so unfortunate there for the Huskies. They really poured it on towards the end of the second half there.
Well, and we talk about 3 teams arriving in Dallas this week needing that automatic bid on Sunday into the NCAA tournament, likely to continue the careers of their seniors and the pursuit of this 2017 season. UConn was among those teams, as that likely ended the impressive careers of many Huskies. They'll come up short here in Dallas. UCF will move on. Again, that would have been a tying goal, pushing us likely into overtime. From there, who knows, with a golden goal available. But instead, the memorable journey here for the past month plus for Scott Calabrese and UCF continues as he guides them into the finals. And it's memorable also because he gets to check back in with Haley.
Wow, Coach. What a finish. Now that it's over, your team is advancing to the final of the American Championship. How do you sum up that last minute as a coach?
It's very nerve-wracking. And I think in these elimination games, a lot of times that's what that last minute looks like. And goodness, I'm glad we advanced. That's all I can say.
Yoni was able to get the goal that ultimately sending you to this championship game. I mean, what a great finish by your freshmen. What did you see there?
Well, I think when we looked better in the second half, we put the ball down, we were able to play out of the back, and our central midfielders got on the ball, and that was a product of us being able to do that better. We were able to combine. Yoni sprinted forward and played right off of Gorka. We found a gap, I think, between one of their central defenders and an outside back that was probably occupied by our wide player. And we were able to get, a goal in these matches. There's not a whole lot between the two teams, and everyone's a little tense. And, one team kind of nips ahead at the very end there, and fortunately it was us.
I know it wasn't pretty, but in the end of the day, your defense is able to get the clean sheet here in the semifinals. I mean, just talk about their perseverance and just being able to stick together and just work as a team to keep the ball out of the back of the net.
Yeah, at the end of the game, often there's emergency defending, and the other team commits a lot of numbers forward into the box, and you just have to scramble and try to anticipate where the ball's going to drop. Luckily today, we were the ones that were first to it most times.
You have to get ready for another tough game on Sunday, no matter which team you play. But just in your first season as the head coach of this program, what does it mean to you to be able to play in this championship game with your team for a chance at an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think I think these guys they want to keep playing. They're enjoying it, and they're playing well. And so for them, for us to have that opportunity, to have that chance, I think it's great. I think it's great for them, and there's guys like Mateus, some of the older guys. It's nice for them to have this chance to compete for some silverware.
All right, Coach. We'll see you out here on Sunday. Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Haley. You see, UCF, the number 2 seed, does advance. They will play the winner of Temple or SMU. Temple fell to UCF near the end of the season, 1-0, of course. UCF, this 8-match unbeaten run dates back to their last loss here in Dallas to SMU. They'd love to avenge that in a 1-2 final on ESPNU this Sunday. So for Roland and Haley, we'll step aside. UCF does just enough to punch its ticket into the championship on Sunday. We will be back later on tonight here on the American Digital Network with the second half of our semifinal doubleheader. Mustangs and Owls already warming up for what should be another classic finish to tonight in Dallas.